and good evening. This is Kaylin broadcasting for Happyland Gummy Bears, a NFT social club focused on the wellness and development of you, our community. Join us in pursuit of Happyland as we talk about topics relating to our physical and mental health, our wealth, and whatever else our community finds interesting. This is another episode of Happyland in Session. Hello everybody, good evening. This is Caleb and we are broadcasting for Happyland in Session. I welcome everybody. This is our third episode. With me today is going to be Enrico, who is my good friend and also owner of Refined Muscles, a fitness coaching outfit operating out of New York City. And I'm so happy to be here today to discuss a new, part of our physical wellness initiative for our community. And we are going to be discussing different strategies on how to exactly find out what your goals should be, and as well as some strategies around how to actually achieve them for this new year. With that, I'd like to give Enrico some time to introduce himself if I missed anything. How's it going?
Hey, well, everyone, thanks for having me here. As mentioned, I run a personal training studio out here in New York City. We focus on one-on-one training in particular. From the fitness standpoint, I'm a sports nutrition specialist, and also I have a rather eclectic fitness background that includes martial arts, bodybuilding, strongman, breakdancing, obstacle course racing. I've dipped my toes into a lot of different pools, as it were.
Yeah, so overall, cool guy.
I'm fun at parties, is what I hear. But and so considering that our business is that our business is really focused on helping people achieve their fitness goals throughout the year and not just in the start of a new year, this is a topic that's pretty close to what I deal with on a regular basis. One of the phrases we like to operate under is that we don't sell workouts, we sell solutions. And so it's not just like counting reps or anything like that we provide. We try to work with our clients on developing strategies that help them achieve their fitness goals. And a common question we ask is, hey, what does fitness mean to you? Right? And I think that's an important question. Of course, not everyone wants to get that deep on why they're working out. That might not be the most comfortable thing to tackle when you're just meeting, say, my team for the first time. But be that as it may, we've come across a lot of different definitions that people have. For some, fitness can mean, looking a certain way. And it's just that. It's you look a certain way, that must mean you're fit. Or it could be performance driven. You're either fast enough, strong enough, what have you. And for some others, it can even just represent something like freedom, the freedom to go have fun doing whatever the hell they want to do on the weekends, or freedom to chase their kids around, or all sorts of things like that.
Freedom to touch my toes.
Right.
Yeah, that mobility is a big issue for me,
To be fair, I mean, was one of my more recent clients that just started a couple weeks ago. Something he gave to me. He's in his 60s, and he goes, I feel so much more comfortable when I drop something on the floor and I can go down and pick it up now. He's like, that used to always give me such stress if I had to pick something off the floor. And now I feel so much more capable. And I think that...
Do we have to do yoga to do that?
No. I have him squatting and deadlifting, really. So
Right. Okay.
But so fitness means something different to everybody. And honing in on what you find important is a really fundamental part of that aspect. So with that in mind, I'm going to speak at a rather high level with regards to how we can set goals and everything like that, because it's going to change for everybody. And now, of course, with anyone that's working with me, well, that's part of my job, to help you figure out how to go about getting there. So as I go along, Calum, whenever you want to ask me questions, just feel free to interrupt. If we have questions coming through the Discord chat or what have you, by all means, pass them along.
Oh yeah, I'll help along the way. I ask any questions I can. In the meantime,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on camera so I can see what's going on with mine. It keeps zooming in for me for some reason. Yeah, hi. All right.
Technology.
So you were talking about basically helping people on how they can set up their goals, right? Like to set the correct goals so that they don't, like have conflicting, like objectives, and they kind of get that right. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Please, you have the floor.
All right. Well, so now, first of all, let's be fair. Being healthy is a reasonable goal in of itself, right? And I think a lot of the people that come through my door have that as a big part of their goal set. But at the end of the day, that idea of healthiness can still vary in many different ways, depending on how old the person is, the person's gender, profession, all those things. Some common hurdles that we come across, though, that usually when they've walked through our door, they've started trying to address these issues. But on the outside, things like time and motivation are the things that are the ideas that really stop people in their tracks. And to like circle back briefly to what we talked about last week with regards to productivity, even though exercise does take time, I think it's still net benefit to actually do, because it can really help you become more efficient with your day. Last week we talked about Parkinson's law or Parkinson's principle, where work inflates to the size of the time you allot.
Yeah, however much time you put in it is how long it's going to take. Yeah.
So if a lot of your life is around work, for example, and whatever work looks like for you, you end up not giving yourself time for self-care, right? Mm-hmm. And exercise should be that. It should be a form of self-care. It shouldn't be a form of punishment. You should be happy to go do it, even though it is uncomfortable.
I don't know about that. I guess it depends where you are along your journey, right? Because I hear that once you get started, it gets a lot easier, right? You start achieving your goals, you start hitting them objectives one by one, and kind of makes the motivation a little bit easier over time, right? So I think that you're right. It could get easier, but I think the hardest part is for people to just get started and carve the time out. And, me, myself personally, I find it really hard, with the multiple things that I have to juggle throughout my day, plus I got a kid now, and, it gets to be really difficult to just, find the time. And so I find for me, and I don't know if this is what you suggest, is that I just force it. I just go, yeah, this is a priority for me. And I have to, because if you really think about it, right, I'm thinking long term, if I don't take care of myself today, it doesn't matter how much money I make, how many NFTs I flip, like going forward, I can't take it with me. And two, the whole reason for doing anything is really just to be able to have more time and be able to, be with loved ones and whatnot, right? So that's been really important to me, and it's part of my 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. So one, the pure ROI of it being health related, and it's very useful but also there's the idea that it's great for your brain. So if you're pushing productivity, right? Whether it's you're doing information-based work or you're learning something, if you're a student, having some form of exercise practice can keep your brain healthy, both physiologically and from a cognitive standpoint. Right?
Yeah, so I've actually heard that, like, that's something along the lines of, like, maybe like some kind of neurotransmitters get released after exercise, and it's supposed to wake you up a little bit more and maybe make you more focused. I was wondering, is that something like that's super noticeable, like for you, right? Somebody who might assume, works out on a regular basis, right? Is that something that you experience? Because coming from me, I'm always, like it kind of reminds me of the time when people say that, oh, you should cut all oily foods from your diet or whatnot, or you should cut this. And then some people explain that after a while, they like get this like sixth sense where they're like, oh, I can feel like that grease in my stomach or whatnot. Is this something you can actually physically feel as someone who does work out on a daily basis? Is that something that you like? You wake up and you're like, the day's great, and then like you just like is that like a such a noticeable thing? Because when you say productivity like boosts, right? Like I hear you. Yeah, I've read the studies, so
Sure.
like I'm sure it's true, right? Like but maybe I'm just still too lethargic, so like is this something that I'm going to unlock if I spend, I guess, more time at it?
So I would say in my younger years, let's say my 20s or my training in high school, all that, sure, yeah, that's kind of a thing that's very noticeably a thing you feel. However, I think when you have the weight of so many responsibilities on your shoulders as a business owner, as as a husband, father in your case, right? It can definitely, that feeling can get buried amongst a slew of other things for sure, right? Exercise isn't, of all the magic things in the world that can exist, exercise might be the closest to magic as far as affecting your cognitive state. However, right, time and time again, I get clients that come in and go, I always never feel like coming in, but I never regret leaving, right? They're always in a way better state after they've left training. And granted, it's, the particular type of training that I put people through, I balance the experience over the course of their time with me so that they're not usually leaving here feeling wrecked. And I tell them up front, right? My goal is not to hurt you. And there's a quote out there that says like, any trainer in the world can make you tired and feel pain.
Sore, yeah.
Yeah, like that's not hard. Right. A good trainer is the one that can help you make progress, right? And I tell that to all my clients. I'm like, I don't want you to hurt. I don't care if you're sore. I mean, is it going to happen? Sure. Are you going to sweat? Probably. But I'm not trying to elicit that response.
Right. And actually, if I can add something, and I can attest to this. So a little bit of a background is that, Enrico does assist me with my training, so he definitely helps me on a day-to-day basis. So take this with a grain of salt, right? Disclaimer. But then it's absolutely true. When I first started working out, I first started working with him. I always thought that no pain, no gain. Like that's the mentality that a lot of people have. Yeah, exactly. So like if you're not feeling it, if you're not sore the next day, then maybe you're not working out hard enough. And it really took me a long time to get over that, right? And so it truly is true, and for all the listeners out there, like if you dread working out simply because of the next day, like, you do too many squats and you're like walking down the stairs and your hamstrings are like tightening up and, about to fall off the stairs, happened to me multiple times, like it doesn't have to be that way, I guess. And now it's the most important thing for me to share, in my experience,
So to be fair, and to your point, like specifically, like, can that be controlled? It's a very big challenge to prevent that discomfort from ever kicking in. But I will say that I used to work with an actively practicing surgeon. And so knowing that he had to go to the operating table as part of his job, I'm not getting that guy sore. What was he, in his 70s, I think? Like that was not very high level surgeon. I am not getting that guy sore.
Avoid forearm exercises at all costs.
Just generally, because his procedures would last like 6 hours at a time.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So he's standing over a person's midsection with them open. I'm not going to be having his like hamstrings shaking while he's trying to save somebody's life. In the meantime, though, did we see results? Yes. Right. And I'll get to this a little bit later too. But, he had gone skiing one season, right? He's in his 70s. He still goes skiing. And he was like, oh, well, that went by really well. I guess this stuff is working, huh? And I was like, yeah.
So he basically, even though he didn't feel the pain, he didn't feel soreness, like
his performance increased.
Right, and that's really, you know, at the end of the day, that's the goal, right? You know, in terms of you know, why you're really exercising, why you're really putting yourself through the hour or the four, you know, and maybe, you know, and
It should
I
mesh into your lifestyle
yeah,
too.
I shouldn't even say an hour. You know, it's just whatever. Even if you have a half hour, right, 45
Right.
minutes, you know,
Which
that could work.
actually, like, that's a great segue into the next point, which is
Hmm.
that hurdle of time that people often find themselves facing, where, there's this all or nothing mentality that a lot of people live with, where it's like, oh, well, I don't have time. And in their head, it's like, oh, because they can't work out an hour 5 days a week. But like that shouldn't be the metric. I mean, if you're not working out at all, something's better than nothing. You know, my mom's a registered nurse. As far as she's concerned, she works out plenty, even though I would beg to differ
Right.
on that. So all I ask her to do is try to do some 3 minutes every morning of basic joint mobility things just to stay limber. Right? That's all I'll ask of her. Whether she does it or not is a whole separate thing, but you know how mothers can be. Now, with regards to best practices, or at least the minimum effective dose, both the CDC and the American Heart Association, they do give some like min guidance on what people should strive for. And even with that, so for moderate exercise, and their definition of moderate is frankly, it's I wouldn't consider it moderate living in New York, but it's brisk walking is considered moderate exercise. As a New
Okay.
Yorker, I walk around everywhere. I don't have a car up here. It would be too expensive to find parking generally. But be that as it may, they just recommend 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week, right? So that's 2.5 hours. And if you do vigorous exercise, which is jogging or running, even, right? So weight training constitutes vigorous exercise. You can cut that recommendation time in half. But let's go with the 2.5 hours.
Wait. So they recommend an hour and a half of working out every
Two
day. Two and a
two and a
half
half
hours.
hours per week.
Jeez. Oh, per week. Okay, I thought that was daily. I was like, wow, I don't know any American that's doing
Oh,
that.
right. No.
Gotta
No.
be an
Two and a half
athlete.
hours per week
Okay.
of,
That's more
of
reasonable.
brisk
Yeah, absolutely.
walking. Like, so yeah, if you're resistance training sufficiently, that'll usually just get you into that vigorous range anyway.
Hmm.
But if we take 2.5 hours out of the week, a week is comprised of 168 hours. That's literally 1.5%, right? To hit a minimum effective dose of like utility of exercise.
Hmm.
So to say that you don't have it 1.5% of your week available, frankly, it would be a little. That's a little challenging to see. Now, I'm sure it exists. I'm sure there are people out there that can't spare a moment of time. But generally speaking, 2.5 hours is what, like 3 episodes of Squid Game or something. Like, people binge harder than that on random YouTube or TikTok, even.
So
Right?
then, what is the, you know, in your opinion, then what is the, you know, the sweet spot? I mean, I know it's generally speaking, and it depends on what your goals are, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
different goals for different people, but for the average person, right? What would you say is a good goal for how much time they should allot, you know, for themselves, or is there no right answer for this without knowing people's personalized goals?
No, I think so. I think coming off of the couch, if you're coming from a sedentary lifestyle,
Mm.
it's important to not go too far, like get too aggressive with it, where you're like, oh, I'm going to train 7 days a week. It's really not going to work, right? Also, you're going to hate the entire process if you kick off 7 days a week.
Hit the
I had,
ground
I had
running, you
a client
know.
that started off going, I want to do 5 days a week, and I was
Mm.
like, when was the last time you worked out? And it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm like, that's gonna not be comfortable. I mean, like, I'm all for it. If you think you can do it, let's do it. A week and a half passes, and she's like, I am feeling horrible at work. I'm like, well, right.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's scale back to 3 days a week. And that's her sweet spot. Now, I would say that if you're just starting off, trying to aim for 2.5 days. And if those days are an hour long, half an hour long, kind of figure it out within your schedule, right? But generally, and this I'll say that I have a little bias from my martial arts background on this, but I would say that in your pursuit of something, whether it's exercise, skills training, some form of sport, what have you, you should be devoting at least 3 hours a week. So 3 training days a week, just to be able to build up enough volume of practice or whatever you're doing to make some meaningful impact to positively change. Um, and frankly, like there's plenty of strength programs out there that start or that are based around a 3 day workout week. Now, I'm sure like you open an old school bodybuilding magazine or even Men's Health maybe today, I don't know. They might talk about 5 day training splits where you're doing a body part a day. But, if you're a bodybuilder, that's great, but that's not exactly what
It's not everybody's
works for
goals,
everybody,
yeah.
right? That doesn't make sense, right? If you don't care how big your biceps look in your t-shirt, then I don't know why you have a biceps day per se. If you have a weight loss goal, you don't need a day for your arms. Not really, that's not really a necessary thing. Now,
Well, I mean, Enrico,
Mhm.
if someone asked me, like, do I want, big guns, I might be, convinced to say yes, like, do you want, big calves? I might say yes. So in terms of kind of grabbing everything under the sun for what my goal should be, like, how do you think people, because you're talking about like certain things don't apply, right?
Sure.
So how do we differentiate, between everything that we want and what's reasonable, like
Sure.
is that like a
I
self thing, or is that like is there like a safety issue that maybe more people.
um I think if you focus on yourself, the safety thing should sort out unless there are other underlying problems to deal with.
Right.
Um, but that does segue into like understanding why you're going about doing this thing,
Hmm.
which addresses the other hurdle I mentioned, which is motivation. I
Hmm.
get plenty of time that people find themselves unmotivated to do a thing. And at the end of the day, if you don't know your why, then why should you care about what you're doing? Like why are you gonna go out in the rain when it's cold to go for a run if you have no idea whether it's gonna take you closer to your goal set or not towards achieving your goal,
Hmm.
right? I think to address motivation and also the first step in establishing your goal set for fitness, you have to come back to your why, right? Why are you going out of your way to be uncomfortable? Exercise is uncomfortable. Everyone has to acknowledge that, right?
Yeah.
But so why are you going to go out of your way and make yourself uncomfortable? There's got to be a reason. Why are you investing time, energy, right? And to be fair, it still circles back to like what you want as an individual. It could be as deep or as shallow of a reason as you want. For some people, and I put shallow honestly in quotes because aesthetics do matter, right? Aesthetic, like how you present yourself in the world makes a difference. You know, Prior to owning a gym, people noticed me for the way I tied my knot, right, on my neckties, right?
Hmm.
It's a tiny detail. It still got me noticed for some reason in a world of suits. And so when someone comes to me and is like, I want to look a certain way, I want to fit in my clothes a certain way, perfectly cool, right? If someone's like, oh, I want to perform better at tennis. And I'm like, are you a professional? No. Yeah, but this is how I have fun with my friends. Cool, right? Let's work
Hmm.
on that, right? Well, I'm not going to drill you like a professional, right? Because that'll probably hurt. But if we understand that the reason these things matter for you is because you're going to get XYZ out of it, then there's going to be your motivation. All of a sudden, it matters.
Hmm.
Um, my wife's uncle had asked me, "How do I find motivation to work out now? I don't think I care." And I was like, "Well, yeah, if you're trying to get a six pack, that's not going to be meaningful for you. You're like 60. Like, who cares?" I'm like, in my time spending with him, what he cares about is his grandkid. I was
Hmm.
like, all right, you want to play with the kid? How much does he weigh? It's like 30 pounds. Can you pick him up comfortably? No, not right now. Okay, well, what about that sandbag over there? Can you deal with that? it's not going to be squirming. Let's train for that. Train to be a good grandpa, not for 6 set of abs or sick guns, right?
Oh yeah,
In your case, you have a daughter that you have to run around with and a dog. Like your daughter doesn't give a crap about your abs, so she cares if you can carry her when she's tired,
Yeah,
right?
don't tell my wife.
Right. I mean, that she cares about your abs, but that's separate.
Right.
And to that point though, one of the hard parts I think for people is parsing out, because people are more complex than a single goal set, and we see it all the time. Like we ask on our intake questionnaire, "Hey, what are your goals?" And it'll be like, "I want to lose weight, get stronger, get more muscles, and run faster." It's
The,
like
the
wait.
trifecta.
It's like
I
okay,
want it all
yeah. It's
today.
like all right. So what's the important thing, or at least what's the more important thing right now? Or sometimes that's part of our job where it's like, okay, you want to run a marathon. When you go for your runs now, you're feeling pain in your knees. Okay, let's take a step back and spend some time developing the structure around your legs so that hitting the pavement doesn't actually hurt too much. Um, but when people mix so many of those things together, it becomes overwhelming. Like there's this so many different pathways that you can take. Your scope of work is astronomical, and so that'll stop you in your tracks before you get even started.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier, is that, like, how do you, not ask for too much, like, everything basically, do you have a
So
format, or
so
is
being
this
able
something
to
that, yeah, sorry, is this something that somebody like myself can do and be like, oh, I need to temper my expectation, temper my wish list, or is that something that you would say that, has to be done by, a professional such as yourself, to be able to
I mean,
sparse
it
that
would
out?
help to work with somebody just because of
Clearly,
the
yeah.
experience that we bring to the table, where it's like, oh, well, I've helped someone get on the bodybuilding stage. I've helped someone get ready for a race. What those things entail are X, Y, Z, and to get ABC, you need to do other things. All right. So, our experience helps with that, but can someone reasonably parse those things out themselves? Absolutely, right? I mean,
Mhm.
hell, like just going on, I mean, I, I don't know so much about social media and YouTube or whatever as your sources of information with regards to exercise and structuring a program. But, you know, like I'm sure there are things out there that normal people will stumble across. And I say normal people in that like my social media is full of like scientists and other fitness nerds, right? Like I'm pretty sure most people aren't like, oh, the lab director at this place, and he says that. No, I mean there are some good fitness resources out in the world, and if you look at your goal set and like look at their programming and see what it entails. And then you have this other goal set. If they don't mesh at all, it's probably not the best idea to try to do everything at once. Like I said, trying to do two separate programs that comprise 7 days a week of training, you're more likely to hurt yourself than anything else. Like the abject ambition of it is it's laudable, but you probably won't actually get anywhere, right? And I'd like to say though that just because you have these disparate goal sets doesn't mean that you have to let go of one thing or the other. You can just table one thing for now, pursue that goal for a bit, see how it makes you feel, see if that makes you happy, um, or you move on, or and then tackle the next thing later. Um, so
Well, that's
in
assuming that the goals are like conflicting with each other, right?
Yeah, and
So,
let's say
so
they're
if
not
I may ask,
conflicting.
like,
Mhm.
what are like common examples that you see of goals that kind of conflict with each other? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking out to help people,
Sure.
not fall into that trap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, so we can oftentimes see people say like, "I want to get stronger, but
Hmm.
I also want to lose a lot of weight."
Hmm.
Right? Those in your beginning stages that can be rather viable, right? Just because if you're coming into the gym untrained altogether, getting stronger is a pretty low low threshold. You're like your start there's nowhere to go but up, right? So you'll get stronger to an extent. But to achieve like strength beyond just like your basics while losing weight gets really challenging, because the development of strength requires recovery from your exercises. And if you're going to be in a caloric deficit, which is necessary for weight loss, that starts getting really hard because your recovery is going to slow down, right? Like some people like to ask about optimal protein intake. And I'm just kind of like, well, if you're on a caloric deficit and you're not eating enough protein and you want to get stronger, you're going to have a hard time. It's going to be a very painful process if possible at all, right? When I was cutting to step on the bodybuilding stage, once I made that switch over from more strength heavy focus, I knew that at that point it was going to be a struggle to even just maintain my strength levels. That was a given to me, right?
Like just to clarify, because you have to be a certain leanness, right? To step on stage. Okay.
And to get to that level of leanness, you have to be in a caloric deficit. You're going to be recovering slowly. If you're not eating all that much, everything hurts a little bit more. Like, if you're going to do bodybuilding, your body fat percentages have to get very, very low, and just like trying to put a couple 100 pounds in your hand is going to feel really bad. Is it possible? Sure. Right. You grit through it. Depends on how much you want that trophy or what have you.
Medal, yeah.
Yeah. On the flip side, if you want to go like do a marathon, right, there's going to be periods of time where, like, especially as you lead into the race, you should be doing your distance running. And that's going to be in stark contrast to, say, a pure weight loss goal, because one, you're going to need the calories to recover, and two, or a strength goal, because it just doesn't fit. Like, to absolutely pursue strength, is cross training a thing in marathon prep? Absolutely. But, you're not going to be pushing any PRs or personal records when you're training for a marathon. In fact, your personal record should be on your time, your speed, your pacing, and things like that. Like, if your goal is to run a marathon, don't try to be mixing in a powerlifting comp. Can you? Maybe. But I think at that point, we're beyond the scope of what this conversation is.
I don't think most normal people are going to want to push that,
Right.
So if people do have conflicting goals, right, you recommend that, I guess, they do one at a time, maybe in sections or in blocks, right?
Yeah. So generally in training, we would refer to this as mesocycles or training blocks within a total program set, right? In athletes, it's really easy to see because they have a season, right? And then they have a preseason portion and an off-season portion of the year. And so those are going to represent different training styles and training focuses. Because, for example, if they're in season, the last thing you want to do is put them at risk of injury that's going to take them out of the game, right? So you can't do the same things. Like, you'll probably focus on skills work with your athletes when they're in season, and then off season, you might want to build their foundation of strength. But if you're trying to do only skills training in the off season, then when do you have time to do the dedicated strength work, for example, or the conditioning work that they need? And by conditioning, I mean more like muscle endurance type of things. So yeah, understanding your why, just to get back to it, is one of the crucial parts as to like how to find motivation and set the appropriate goal, right? And once you have that, there are these subsets of goals that I think are important to touch on, which are process goals and outcome goals. Outcome goals are really straightforward. They're basically the things that you say to your trainer that you want to get done. Like, I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to run a marathon. I want to pick up 300 pounds, right? Those are your outcome goals, right? I want to fit into my clothes again. I want to fit into my pre-pandemic pants. Cool. So those are really important to be able to establish. However, that doesn't really address what's going to happen on a daily basis to get you there. And that's where process goals come in. Process goals are going to be the key keeping you sane through the process of your fitness journey or the pursuit of whatever goal you're looking at. And so these are going to address more of like habits or tactics that you employ to get towards your goals, towards these outcome goals. So for example, like instead of just, okay, so you know you want to lose 15 pounds, but you've also not worked out in 2 years. Well, frankly, a solid goal set, process goal to have would be every week you're going to get in 2 60-minute resistance training days and a cardio day, right? That's going to be your process goal, right? Every week, this is what you're going to do. Or something like if you're trying to get really strong and you know you need to improve your sleep quality, well, make a goal to be on the weeknights, you're going to get to bed between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. every night. And, that's your goal. Or if, we circle back to weight loss or something, when your trainer asks you for nutrition logs, you actually send them. That's a pretty good nutrition log, right, Caleb? Pretty good process goal, rather.
Yeah. I've been slacking on those guys. Just
yeah.
It's the holidays, like we just had Lunar New Year, so like, I'm trying not to show off my feasting.
Right. And that's the challenge of the holidays for a lot of people because you know what you need to do, but then it can get real tough doing it sometimes. So establishing what these goals are going to be the key to like achieving success in the things, because you have the big thing that you want to get out of what you're doing, but breaking it down into these sub goals can help you actually get there a lot faster, because it can be real daunting if you have a weight loss goal, for example, and all you're focusing on is your weight. Like every Friday you're weighing in and you see these fluctuations. That can get really discouraging, right? Whereas if you focus on the fact that you're getting into the gym according to plan, doing the workouts that you think are the right way to go, or that your trainer is assigning to you, that you guys have crafted out together, then stick with the plan. Trust the process. You'll get there, right? Yes, the scale is absolute, but frankly, for women, just could be the time of the month and like that thing's gonna get thrown off. Or you just didn't go to the bathroom that morning, or all sorts of things can really just mess with that weight number. And in the meantime,
drink too much water.
Yeah, the day prior you had a bit too much salt stuff and you started drinking a buttload of water, what have you. Focusing on the fact that like you've gotten into the gym 4 days out of the week, great, you're setting up good habits. Oh, you send your nutrition logs, great. And look, even at the end of the day, if your results don't come out the way you want, but you followed the plan, at least at that point, you can take a look back at what your process was and try to parse out where did it go wrong. If you didn't have those process goals to actually analyze, then you're going to get to the end of the journey and go, oh, well, it just didn't work. And then you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and go, oh, that sucks. Yeah. But no, if you have your outcome goal set and then you develop these process goals to help you get to your outcome, and you focus on that in the daily and periodically look at your outcome goals just to keep your perspective about you, then you'll be much better set. And I'm sure this doesn't just go with fitness related goals. This can be applied to a lot of, whether it's management goals, business goals, or even whatever family type of goal setting you might want to have. I'm pretty sure this transcends just fitness. But
so basically, if I may just reiterate, right? So you have your outcome goals, which is, let's say, I want to get stronger, right? And then the process goals is just, okay, well, you want to get stronger, so maybe that's 3 times a week at lifting, like physically. Maybe it's like one specialized training that you do every week. So once you set that your progress goal, it's just like the mini steps to get to the outcome goal. Is that the right way?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I think there's the process goals for many people could feel a lot softer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not as tangible as that. Oh, I want to get stronger, and I'm defining stronger by being able to deadlift 405 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is very definitive, and it's very binary in nature. Did you do the thing or did you not do the thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But the binary aspect of it is what kind of keeps it from, or can, in the short run, like what's going to get you up and going out of bed in the morning, right? What's going to get you from your office at the end of the day over to the gym to go get uncomfortable, right? It's, while in the back of your head, okay, this is what I want to do. The healthy thing would be like, all right, this is what I want to do. The goal for today is literally go to the gym and pick up 80% of my capacity. Like I'm going to walk around with a sandbag that weighs as much as I do and try to last as long as I can. That's part of the plan that coach has said. I'm going to do what coach says. Good. Right. And then you trust that process. Right. And then when you reassess later on, because you said you want to get stronger, we test you later on, and then there you go, you know? So the daily thing kind of gets dealt with the process goals, whereas like the bigger period, you know, your quarterly review or your monthly review of goal progress, that should be on the outcome goals. So I think just to wrap it up, because we've been talking for quite a bit and this could get pretty dense as far as material goes.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the best workout routine or strategy that you can employ with your fitness goals has to be the one that you're actually going to do. Because if you could hire a trainer and they'll write the best program in the world for you to get there, you don't actually do it. It doesn't make a difference. And like if you don't actually get up and do it, no change will happen, right? And so in the professional world, there's this talk about a work-life balance, and then there's people trying to squeeze fitness into that equation. I would just like to counterposit that work and fitness are intrinsically a part of your life. Whether you're choosing to exercise or choosing not to exercise, you're choosing to spend your time doing other things, even if those other things are play, like going out to do sports or you know, be in a martial arts school or dance the night away, whatever it is, right? Your fitness is inextricably part of your life. And so it's not so much about balance, but fit, I think. Trying to get everything to mesh together. Your responsibilities with your family, responsibilities to work, and responsibilities to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because taking care of yourself is going to bleed into the other parts, right? You can only take care of your family to the extent that you're also taking care of yourself. I mean, I know plenty of people sacrifice themselves for the other parts, for work, for family, what have you. But we also know that taking care of yourself is an important part to make sure that the people that rely on you have someone there, you know, they're
longevity, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you'll be able to operate when it's necessary. Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd like to say that, you know, like honestly, you only get one chance at this. You know, it's only one shot. You know, we haven't found the technology yet to transpose, you know, whatever's in here onto a new body. So I suppose until we can do that and we can print ourselves onto new clones or something like that, you know, we only got one, you know, one machinery to basically take good care of. You know, and
we have one save file for our current life gameplay.
Yeah,
so you have to make the most of it. And frankly, there's some cliche quote out there about exploring your physical capacities or what have you. But at the end of the day, like you live in your body more than you live in anything else. So having the best experience with that, I think, is time well spent. Right.
Yeah, it's a very good investment.
And Joe, you were asking, like, since I work out regularly. I mean, I should, like,
yeah.
Just my job entails working out, honestly. But you know, I don't walk around like in pain and sore all the time, right? You think like, oh, you work out, you're like, oh, everything must hurt. Like, no, Like most of the time, I don't. I like right now. I'm sitting here. Half my body is sore. 100%. Like from my chest down is sore, but
Mhm.
it's not uncomfortable. Like it's not a noticeable thing, and it's a thing that quickly just passes as you get acclimated to a physical practice.
Mhm.
So it shouldn't be something that deters anybody from progress.
Well, I don't know about you, but I highly recommend people get on a program that they don't feel like it's a chore to do.
Right.
And I learned quite a few things. Just working with you is the part like that you don't have to spend an hour. That's not absolutely mandatory.
Yeah.
And you don't have to hurt. So it's
Yeah.
really your choice in that matter.
And I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is how to adapt what my programming is when life throws you curveballs,
Mhm.
right? Like, you know, you'll message me like, "Hey, I can't do this workout."
I
And
got a
I'm
lot
like,
of
"Why?" And then you
curveballs.
tell me like, "Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Don't work out. Like, go deal with your family emergency."
Yeah, well, life happens basically, and you've always been very good on that. To be like, yeah, we're just gonna have to pause this, because it's more important. And interestingly enough, having you to be there and be like, hey, it's been like a week. Are we gonna get back on track? Has been really, really helpful on that. Because guys, like I've like fallen down the stairs this year. I've like had some sickness recently. So it's and that's the thing, like some things are always going to derail your plans, whether it's the holidays messing up your nutritional intake or some other thing that you have to take care of, your parents visiting for like a whole week and a half. So yeah, that but I think what is important is that you're just always going to come back to your goals that you've established. um,
Yeah, like one of my favorite quotes around this type of thing is failure is not the antithesis of success, but rather a component of it,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's
we
definitely.
all fall off sometimes. Like, I have a competition I'm hoping to do in end of March, beginning of April, something like that.
Mm.
I got married last month, so that got that threw my training for a whirl.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure, But I mean, I think you'll do fine, But I guess the whole point is that it's iterative and then you just have to keep working on it, and then we'll
Absolutely.
get there eventually.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's been such an insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Enrico, for taking the time out to speak with us today. Before I let you go, I'd like to talk a little bit about the partnership that we're having between
Yes.
Happyland Gummy Bears and Refined Muscles, right? Which is the outfit that you run. So very, very generous. Enrico has decided that he's going to basically do 3 months worth of, I guess, mentorship, I
Programming,
guess,
as
and
it were,
programming. Yeah,
accountability
yeah,
type of stuff
right, right.
for
For
some
30
of the
people,
community
basically.
members.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so the idea here is that we're going to take ten people at a time. Obviously, if there's only 10 of you, I guess everyone will get in, but if there is more, right? If if there's, unfortunately, if there's like 80 of you, that's just too bad, but
Yeah, right. You don't have the capacity for
and
that.
we gotta stop
I'll be
somewhere.
honest
This
about
is
that.
only one outfit, right? One business. However, so we will be basically running that program. Details will be coming out soon on our Discord channels, and we'll probably write a blog post somewhere about that. But basically, Enrico will take on 10 of our community members at a time. For a month each, so 3 months, 30 people altogether, 10 at a time. And he'll actually help you with your programming, right? He'll set you up on this really cool app that they use. I'm a big fan of it, and basically run you through it, right? And kind of just help you get started, help you get your first two, walking your first 2 feet rather, and on the top of that, in case that you guys are also perhaps you didn't get into the 30, or perhaps after the month, you really, you like what's happening, Refined Muscles has agreed to give us 20% off of their, like, I guess, remote coaching, I guess is the
Yeah,
way that
our
I would
online
put it.
platform.
Yeah. So, and that's been a real cool thing. So we do hope that people can, really make an honest effort towards their, 2022 goals of whatever passions that you might want to pursue, whatever physical goals that you may have, and like Enrico said, the best thing you can do is just get started, and to basically make a promise to yourself, because that's really what it is. Like, that's my personal motivation. It's just a promise to myself that, that I will, fit in my pre-pandemic pants.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we will hopefully get there, But do you have
And
any?
also, if you guys, if some of the things that I've said through the course of this resonated with you, let us know whether how you like this type of content. You guys want me to come back, talk a little bit more about other fitness related things, because I think the thing that attracted me to the project around Happyland Gummy Bears is the idea of promoting mental and physical health and wellness. And so, for me to have the opportunity to provide some insight from a professional standpoint, it's it's definitely up my alley and something that I would love to be able to be part of.
Well,
So
speaking of coming back, part of the partnership is actually to have Enrico come back and talk and have more discussions with us around, this first time is going to be about, goal setting. I think, remind me if I think I've written somewhere, like what the next ones are.
we
We have
have
one on motivation, one on
Yeah,
like
I wanted to
habits.
get a little bit more into the concept of motivation. Um, I would I was gonna have some talking points around the value of setting strength as a foundational item within almost any of the goal sets that you can have within the fitness space. And I think my definition of strength can help some people get on board with that a little bit.
Mhm.
The
Well, I mean,
utility of
I guess the
Yep.
key here, because I want to respect your time. I know that you told me you had a hard stop. The
Yeah.
key point here is that is that you've signed up for a 5-part series, and this is the first this is the first
Yeah.
part of it.
But
So
I
if
think
you
we'd also like to hear from the community as to like what kind of things you'd like me to address,
can.
and I'll do my best.
Right, right. And to that end, let me ask a pop question. I guess surprise question is, perhaps we can like set up a channel somewhere, within our Discord so that people can ask you questions, or that maybe they want to talk about their goals, and maybe you could help them with the outcome goals and process goals and be able
Sure.
to, see, because sometimes, it's a little bit, I guess, intimidating, right? To really, I think the outcome goals are easy. I want to lose weight, I want to
They
lift
are
weights,
usually the easier
yeah,
part of
and
that.
then but I think the process goes is where a lot of people get tripped up, that perhaps they might, like, for example, I'm going to work out 7 days a week as part of the process, might
Yeah.
not be doing very good for them. So yeah, so I like to I like to open a channel to basically have that conversation,
Sounds
and
good.
yeah, and honestly, that channel will probably be used for the people that are going to be joining the program anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, like did I miss anything on your end, you think?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, if any of the community members are in the New York City area, feel free to swing into our gym and say hi at some point.
Yeah, I know
As
at
far as
least
I know,
one
everyone's kind of
one
international.
gummy bear. I know at least one gummy that's in New York City. Is hopefully he'll come visit out, and it's a Lala, by the way. So I didn't
Oh,
call
okay.
him out, so I'll tag him later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you so much for your time, Enrico. Really appreciate it. Glad to have you, and
Great to
I
be
look
here.
forward to having you back very soon. So we're probably gonna do maybe once a week. So we're gonna basically the next episode is going to be about crypto. It's already in the works. It's going to be why you should be interested in crypto in 2022, and then we're going to circle back. We're going to basically do a half crypto NFT and half wellness for physical wellness as well as mental wellness.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be swapping alternatively. So we'll have
Yeah.
you back next week, probably on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then we'll start the conversation off
And
from there.
and if you guys like this type of stuff, also follow our Instagram at
Oh
Refined
yeah,
Muscles.
absolutely. Yeah, no, we're gonna push that. We're gonna have that on the
Yeah.
descriptions and things like that.
Yeah, so
Definitely
that you
check
guys
them
can
out.
get to know us a little bit better as the other team members that are part of my company. You could also just go to our website at refinedmuscles.com. Nice and simple. A little bit more about my background if you just, it's all on there. So
we're gonna start the Enrico fan club very soon. You know, but yeah. Anyway, all right, that's it for our show today. Thank you guys for watching, and we will be back. So this Thursday is when we'll be back for our crypto talk, and then we'll be back with Enrico the week after. So have a good day, guys. Good morning.
Bye.
And good night.
We hope you've enjoyed this session at Happyland. If you're interested in becoming a part of our community, head out to our website, happylandgummybears.com, to learn more. See you next time Happyland is in session. It's hibernation time for this gummy bear.